Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Saints broadcast here on Wednesday night. We got some NECC League of Legends semifinals action for you. I'm Josh Pafundi, joined once again by Rare Adam Choles here. It's been a minute since you've been here for a league cast specifically, Adam. I know you're excited yourself. How you doing tonight?
Feeling great. I mean, I've done a lot of league casting, just, throughout Nationals, was doing it on my own stream and everything, but a lot of Valorant and Overwatch recently, especially. So, good to mix things up, but nonetheless, I'm back sort of on home soil. And, we've got NECC semifinals here. Saints had their first round bye. They did not have to play on the first day of preseason.
Yeah.
However, Purdue were able to sort of upset U Ottawa Garnet there. A little bit of a broken heart for me because, I'm an old U Ottawa boy at that, but nonetheless, good to see these two teams hitting it for semifinals here. Very excited to see who will actually move on to finals there, because that matchup on the main NECC stream, Fisher versus York, two teams that we've had very close contests against. So if we are to win tonight, definitely going to be a very excited finals at that.
Yeah, and it's another one of those situations like we saw with, I believe it was Valorant there on Monday night. Yeah, it was, where on the other side of that bracket, both of those teams terrifying to go up against in the finals. Saints, though, got to focus on the match at hand tonight. Purdue University coming in for the semifinal game. I'm not sure what seed they're at necessarily. You might know
they're
that.
The sixth seed, as far as I know. They are one of the lower seeds in the bracket. So they're sort of coming in as upstarts there. Of course, they did take down U Ottawa Varsity there, so not really able to overcome that hill, get to the semifinals, have a little bit of a Canadian showdown at that. But nonetheless, Purdue definitely able to pick up on that, and now going up against a Saints team where they did not perform quite that well against them the first time around. The Saints had a very dominant performance in game 2. There was a little bit of a backdoor situation there at 20 minutes, weird base race situation. So nonetheless, definitely a team that the Saints are meant to be favored in, but of course, Purdue already having one upset here. They could be on a little bit of a roll with that as well.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that also coming off of preseason. You talked about Saints didn't have to play that first day of preseason, which is huge because, as we all know, as League of Legends players, the second preseason hits, take everything you've learned the last year, toss it out the window, because there's an entire new meta to behold.
Yeah, and the main items I want to talk about, we've touched briefly on tank items in a couple of past streams, but the main one I want to talk about now is Ravenous Hydra. This item has really popped up as a strong first item on a lot of champions. A lot of junglers are taking it, a lot of AD laners are taking it. The main reason why is just because you get that stacking AD, that stacking Omnivamp there, you get extra healing. We've seen it on Ezreal, we've seen it on Xayah, we've seen it in AD carry, we've seen it top lane, we've seen it mid lane on some of these AD champions as well. So it's just sort of this meta-defining item right now, and not getting any nerfs, at least not for another week at the very least. So very curious to see what sort of champions get pulled out here. I know that Aurelia has started to rise up once again. That champion, always fun to play against. Ezreal has this new build with Iceborne Gauntlet as well, but overall, Ravenous Hydra probably one of the best items in the game right now.
Yeah, because it almost acts as almost like a Dark Seal. Like, it's kind of nuts, and the fact that you can stack it off of minions doesn't necessarily sit right with me, but at the same time, it's not the same crazy amount of stats you find from a Dark Seal, but 20 AD and I think it's 7% Omnivamp is what it goes up to. Like, at full stacks, on any character, that is such a boon to your stats, and as a first item, getting an extra 20 AD and an extra 7% Omnivamp, that's like more than a Vamp Scepter at that point.
Yeah. The main thing to keep in mind is that it is cheaper than a lot of the Mythic items because it isn't a Mythic itself. You get as much AD as Infinity Edge, and you get as much Omnivamp, or you get more Omnivamp than Blade of the Ruined King. So that's just sort of your stat stick there. Very strong item right now, and you still get ability haste on it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Just an all-around very good item, and I think that we're expecting to see, at least 2-3 abusers of that item in every single game at this point. Really depends on what AD carries Rockboom wants to pull out. There's been a little bit of a shift back towards this Ezreal, back towards Xayah a little bit with these sort of off-meta builds. Zeri is actually really strong right now, but don't tell anyone I said that because I'm not champion. Not always in the best of balanced slots, regardless.
Let's not bring the Zeri Yuumi meta back into this one, Adam, but I know another champ that's been definitely liking that Ravenous Hydra is the Akali there in mid. I know we saw Bakery Boy play it a little bit, and just Ravenous, Jack Show, the whole shebang. Tank Akali is back essentially, but she happens to also just do as much damage as AP Akali.
Yeah, and I think Akali especially, Udyr, a lot of these the tanks and everything that abuse Jackshow, the Protean, that's really the strongest tank item that we've seen. Heartsteel is nice and all, you're able to stack out infinite health, which can lead to infinite AD, but overall, it hasn't really been as impactful as people are expecting, especially when you have a lot of ranged champions in games. You can just get kited out, and Scion's getting buffs. Imagine that, even though Heartsteel is like the Scion item at that. So interesting to see how that worked out. Nonetheless, I think we're going to be in for some interesting picks here. I'm very curious to see what Purdue has on the table as well. It's been a couple of patches since we've seen them. Maybe it's just a meta that's really suiting them right now. They like to play towards that tank meta potentially. Very curious to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, and I know, speaking of interesting picks, going back to Canadian Nationals, we did see the Saints. We saw Ricky Lafleur there in the top lane. We saw him whip out the Cassante in one game there. And personally, I think that champ is so exciting to watch. Just the sheer amount of mobility, displacement, everything. It's just one of those champs that, adds that spectacle to the team fight, and I think it can make for some really hype moments. So in terms of broadcasting, that's what I'm the most hyped to see.
Maybe a little bit of bias there. I don't know if Cassante is actually enabled for NECC playoffs.
Okay, fair enough.
So if that's the case, then we won't see Cassante, but nonetheless, very curious to see what we will see tonight.
And I think that's just about going to wrap it up for us for this pre-show today here, but we will be meeting you in draft for Game 1. from our short little break there, and we are ready to kick off draft here for game one. And Saints starting it off with the Ban 1 Karthus.
Yeah, coming through on the blue side here in game one. They do have the higher seed, so they have a little bit more agency in that. Right now, blue side is a little bit stronger just because of some of the mandatory bans that are necessary on that red side. One of those bans that we started seeing pop up a lot is Caitlyn as one of them. Another option potentially looking towards the jungle. We could see something like a Wukong banned out. It's been a very strong pick recently, and especially here, it is actually going to be that Wukong banned out. So wanting to take away that Ravenous Hydra option there. We talked about it in the pre-show there, but it's going to be something to take off the table.
Yeah, just another one of those champions, those bruiser style champions that has just benefited so much from the Ravenous Hydro nerfs. And St. Clair College coming right back with a Yone ban, or Y1 as we like to call it here.
Y1, it's exactly how it's written, but no, the Yone ban, it's a little bit interesting. There is a little bit of an interesting build sort of floating around right now. Blade of the Ruined King, Jaksho the Protean. Yeah, you can imagine the rest from there. It's a really interesting build. That's the only word I'm going to say for it, but nonetheless, that's going to be taken off the table, as well as the Aatrox. Of course, Aatrox, as if you needed even more healing, Ravenous Hydra, very good item. You add Gore Drink, you add Death's Dance, and you can become sort of this Thanos unstoppable champion at that point. Very curious to see if Aatrox will ever get through at this point. That champion's just been so strong for so long.
Yeah, so strong, and it comes back to the fact that it was one of Ricky's comfort picks while he wasn't even crazy strong, like 100% pick ban. So at this point, I expect to see him in gray every single game here. And ban 3 coming through for the Saints. Karma to finish off the first round of ban there, finally targeting one towards that bot lane.
Yeah, and Karma's a really good ban because it gives you automatic lane control in absolutely every lane. A lot of the times, you can't really pick Caitlyn into something like a Karma. You can't pick Varus that easily into a Karma just because of how easily she shoves the lane and how easily she's just going to be able to punish you in that regard. One such instance of that was at Nationals where Waterloo just absolutely decimated St. Clair with the likes of a Karma support. So, interesting to see how the sort of drafts have evolved over the last little bit in that regard, and Silas going to be taken off the table. Just a comfort pick for Bakery Boy as well in that mid lane. Takes away that sort of bruiser presence, stealing away those ultimates, and technically, you can build Jaksho on.
You can build Jaksho on anyone at this point. Yeah. Like it's not even a joke too. But Silas also, it's interesting that they opt to ban that Silas because LeBlanc is usually the target ban towards Bakery Boy there in the mid lane. But Purdue gonna opt with the Silas, and St. Clair gonna come in with that first pick, Dr. Mundo. So most likely seeing that top lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see it picked up that early just because there are some pretty strong counters into that on the top side. I mean, specifically, Fiora is still up on the table. That's one that really has a good time. And even in terms of like tank matchups and the like, Shen sort of doesn't mind facing Mundo because you just, go around the map, you influence the rest of the map at that point. Interesting to see that picked up early at that, but I'm curious to see what the answer is. Seems it's the Udyr at this point. That was a champion that we saw a lot to great effectiveness, I want to say, specifically, I think it was Woshi Garvin on Alberta there. Yeah. That Udyr was difficult to deal with at all times, sort of the GOAT's composition, you just have so many tanks and one carry at that. So, although the Kaisa are going to come out as the first option in the 80 carry pool, and that's really interesting considering both Caitlyn and Varus are left up.
Yeah, and St. Clair Rock Boom, they're going to be picking up that Lucian, followed up by the Nami pick there, the classic bot lane pairing for Lucian. Pretty much the only bot lane pairing for Lucian at this point in the meta, but Braum is the response from Purdue. Kaisa, Braum v. Lucian, Nami. How do you feel about those matchups?
I think the Braum is sort of like a sort of safety net at that point, especially considering you basically picked Kaisa blind, which is really interesting. Kaisa is one of those champions that's sort of the benchmark for 80 carries now. Never, after her AP build sort of fell off there, she's never been like super broken, but she's never been weak at that point. She's sort of the benchmark. If you are stronger than Kaisa, you're a strong champion. If you're weaker than Kaisa, you are a weak champion at that. So I'm interested to see why they picked that up. There might just be a comfort thing, but on the ban list there, you see that LeBlanc as well. It's a comfort pick for Bakery Boy as well, and I mean a very strong one at that, especially if you don't have a set counter pick for that. It's sometimes just better to take that off the table.
Yeah, and then Yasuo to respond right back. I wonder if one of these Purdue players is a Yasuo player, because we don't see Yasuo picked in collegiate a lot, and for various reasons, I think at this point, if you're picking one of the brothers, Yone is definitely the one you're picking on
that's why he's Y1.
that front. Exactly. Yeah, he's Y1. He's picked one. But last two bans to come through, Syndra for the side of Purdue, taking out another mid lane ban there, really targeting out Bakery Boy, which is something we don't see too often. Interesting strategy there from Purdue, and Fiora to finish off the bans for the Saints.
Yeah, that Victor pickup going to be going in that mid lane just as safe as possible. You probably want to just keep your options open there, but nonetheless, Nico going to be the answer there. That's an interesting one in reply. You know, Baker Boy has pulled out Nico as sort of a pocket pick in the past, and this is definitely a lane where you can succeed. You have just as much lane pressure, and you have the roaming potential to go around the map as that well. I'm also just curious to see how we round out this draft, and it's the Jax that comes through. So talked about how Mundo is most likely going up to that top lane. I think this means that the Mundo's going jungle. Of course, the Jax can still go jungle in that regard, but if you're going to take Jax away from Ricky, what are you really doing there? You know, at that point, you're sort of maybe not capping out as high as it can go.
Yeah, especially the fact that the Jax was left on the table for so long. They pick it up last pick, or I guess second last pick, as it's Purdue to come in with last pick Gangplank there, presumably into that Jax.
Yeah, and I think that especially when you've got the Gangplank in tow here, with the new Navori quick plays, it's the night we actually haven't talked about. It gives you a lot of damage on your barrels and your ultimate specifically. You know, normally you want to go Infinity Edge if you're going for single target damage, but Gangplank's not about the single target damage. He's about, you know, landing a barrel chain onto a couple of members and blowing it up onto the entire backline there. So I'm curious to see what the build to come through from Spiral Claws is on that top side of the map with that Gangplank. You know, there's very strong Gangplank players in Collegiate. There's also some Gangplank players where you're like, do you even play this champion? Because it's not a champion that is easy to pilot. It is very difficult. You know, high skill floor to begin with, high skill ceiling at that. You can really tell the difference between a good Gangplank and a great Gangplank in that regard.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you can tell when they're a Gangplank player, and you can tell when they are playing Gangplank.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but we do seem to have a pause coming into the game here, so we are just possibly going to pass it off to a quick break. We may have had a quick little fix here. We are going to run straight into game. Thank you, League of Legends, for working out right at the starting here. 15 seconds. Both teams leave the Nexus, and they are off to the races. Interesting to see this, however. Saints not going to run it bot side immediately. We saw during the past 2 weeks, really, they've really been opting for going for that middle bush in that bot lane and just trying to get vision there right at the starting of the game. But this time, they're sending it top towards that tri-bush, and it's Spiral Claws to meet the offensive here.
Yeah, we'll just walk that one out. The Cleaver not quite going to land. I don't think they have too much follow-up at this. You know, the longer that you spend on these 5-man invades, the more possibility you are to giving over vision on the opposite side. But as you can see, Shinfar down on the bottom side of the map. Great IGN by the name, and Ravens fan maximum. Not going to actually drop down any wards, potentially not spotting out all 5 members, which means, you know, you don't want to overpush, and especially on a Kaisa, which, you know, has a decent level 1, but not so great, especially when you have the lethal tempo, better with the Hail of Blades. You know, it's a little bit of a challenge. You don't want to overstep here, and I think especially considering the history that these two teams have, where St. Clair decimated Purdue 2-0 in their regular season game, you know, maybe Purdue playing a little bit more cautious.
Yeah, a race there up, or I guess not a race.
Yeah.
It's Bakery Boy up there in the mid lane. See, he's even faking me out, and I'm watching it from the spectator side. Bakery Boy actually going to start off with a little bit of damage on to Simples there. Also a great name, definitely a CS fan coming into that mid lane, but already starting off this game, I mean, typical starts. We see Udyr start top side. Actually, both junglers starting off in that top side. Bot lane here. I mean, we're assuming, right, bot lane is going to come down to level 2, and that's really where the big fight is going to be. But a race already getting engaged on, has to flash away, going to be stunned up, but the bot lane of Purdue will take that any day of the week. Flash at 2 minutes, time that up, because they are going to be able to just absolutely engage on Erase the second he steps up from now.
And the biggest thing about Erase here is just the fact that, you know, they're getting a little bit greedy going for this engage, you know, trying to get some stacks down. Yes, you have the range advantage in this lane, but you need to be incredibly careful about overstepping, especially into a Braum there. Braum's level 1 is probably one of the best in the games all around, doesn't matter what champion. Yes, you don't really have the damage to back it up, but you have that crowd control. It is so strong to lock someone down. Nonetheless, in this mid lane right now, just CSing back and forth for the time being. Top side, you know, typical trading gonna come through between Ricky. You always know that he won't shy away from a fight, but even still, difficult to deal with Gangplank, especially that passive in the early game. That Trial by Fire definitely gonna keep stacking up, and if you can just keep procking down those barrels, continue that consistent damage, you're always gonna be keeping Ricky at arm's reach at the very least.
Yeah, just having that true damage, essentially having like a quick little ignite there on your auto attack, it's going to help you out in those elongated trades. And at the same time, it's like the more trades you go for, the more value you get. Like the longer you're in lane, the more work that passive is going to get done. But now, taking our eyes here to the bot lane, we do actually see Alonso starting to move into its bot side jungle here. He's going to meet up with that Udyr. Couple pings popping off, but doesn't look like either of them really want to engage on each other. They're just playing the spacing game here, waiting for this first crowd to spawn.
Yeah, and a big thing about Mundo Jungle is you have a very, very fast clear. One of the fastest clears in the game are able to sort of increase that pacing, get to that crowd first, and as you can see, sort of zone off Hydra Knight in there. Main thing to worry about, though, is you can see Bakery Boy not a whole lot of mana to speak of, so even still, Hydra Knight holding this wave going to put Bakery Boy in a little bit of a pickle, but of course it's held the opposite way there by Alonso, just making sure that there's enough damage to go down, and even still, might have the possibility of a double crab. It isn't as detrimental as before, but Hydra Knight's still not going to appreciate that too much.
Also, not just a possibility, but it is secured that second crab top lane. Alonso now well above Hydra Knight in terms of CS here. Both junglers not going to have those double buffs anymore, and the first blood is going to go over to Ricky. Pops the flash and secures it with that stun auto there. Rock Boom going to go in for a kill bot lane as well. Looks like they're getting aggressive on Kai'Sa. She's going to run back under tower, and that's exactly what we were expecting from that Lucian Nami there in the bot lane. Just get aggressive, level 2, level 3, find your kills and snowball from there, because you talked about it already. Level 1 against the Kai'Sa Braum is terrifying, but the second you get access to those passives on the Lucian, on the Nami, it'll definitely help out your all-in potential. Bakery Boy getting a lot of autos in here. Flash auto is going to clean up Simples there, and 3-0. Right before 5 minutes here, and the Saints looking hot at the starting of this game.
Yeah, 2,500 gold lead. It's a massive gold lead already for themselves. You know, coming off of a little bit of a disappointing performance at Nationals, they're coming in here hot. They're ready to get themselves over to Grand Finals here against a team which they know they have every right to beat in a lot of ways. And even at this top side here, while Ricky was able to pick up that kill, you can still see that Spiral Claws is able to deal some damage, especially with how big this minion wave is. But Ricky about to tick over to level 6 shortly here. Curious to see if they potentially go for an all-in, but nonetheless, Purdue need to try and find something to make it happen, and thus far, this Udyr hasn't really been ganking as much as I potentially would have liked to see. You know, you farm so quickly that you have these windows to look for ganks, and unfortunately haven't been able to find those, as like Shitcard and a Ravens fan. Just going to start up this dragon. A little bit of a weird timing. Spiral Claws looking for the solo kill. We'll be able to find it.
Yeah, Ricky really needed to get that back to come off after that first kill, but great setup in the bush there from Spiral Claws. Just going to be able to battle it out there. The Grasp definitely helping out with that as well. And as bot lane was waiting to walk back to lane, it was actually the bot lane of Purdue that took some priority, started up this Hextech Drake. Going to grab the first Drake, and now the gold lead not looking as wide as it just was, although still very well 2K in Saints' favor.
Quite substantial at that. I mean, looking at the build coming through from Ricky, I wonder what the strongest item is in the game right now. I wonder what that might be. Is it potentially Ravenous Hydra that they're going for? Nonetheless, you can see Shitcard in a really difficult situation here. Biggest thing on the bottom side of the map. Oh my.
Yeah, Burns cleansed there too for almost absolutely nothing, and he's just going to keep getting ran down and autoed down by that bot lane. And the combined might of the mid lane and jungler coming down for a roam. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Ricky with his item advantage looking to press this lead. Those minion autos are doing a lot of damage to Spiral Claws, but I believe it's those corrupting pots that's actually going to keep him alive there. And now a little bit healthier than Ricky here. Ricky's got to be a little bit cautious under tower, and he gets just a little bit too aggressive. Takes a tower shot, is going to fall. Rock Boom finds a kill on that Braum under tower. Bakery Boy continually running down Simples with these autos, and Bakery Boy is definitely going to be the player to look at here to snowball their lane. Obviously that bot lane as well, but I imagine this Udyr is going to start giving the bot lane a little bit of resistance, whereas like Bakery Boy in that 1v1 seems to be consistently winning those out.
Yeah, and once again, bot lane, another 2v1 kill there. I mean, Shadvar just stuck under tower, no escape from there. very difficult to escape Lucian Nami, especially at level 6. I believe the ultimate was used, and now Hydra Knight on the run.
He's going to make it out of there. I mean, chasing down an Udyr has been a tough task since the day Udyr was added into the game, and he's going to be just getting out of there scot-free. Bakery Boy gets to just pepper this tower a little bit with some autos, possibly find a first plate for himself as well, which is just going to add to that gold lead that continues to stack up as it's now over 5K in the Saints' favor after all those kills were said and done.
How the gold is. It's all on this Lucian. Look at how little gold the Kaisa has.
Oh my lord.
Shinford is level 4.
He is level 4, is half the gold, less than half the gold.
2,500 gold
Lucian
down.
walking back to this lane with a pickaxe, a dirk, and a noon quiver.
Yeah, like, Rockboom
cloak as well.
is disgustingly fed at this point. I mean, I feel like we've sort of glossed over this just because we expect the Lucian Nami to do so well. We don't expect the Lucian Nami to be double the CS of the Kaisa here at 8.5 minutes, and it's just constant diving over and over again. Great wave management coming through from Rockboom in a race, and you know, even though there was the early flash burned by the Nami, afterwards, Lucian Nami just becomes Thanos at that point. It's so difficult to deal with it. You just get snapped out of existence every time you get into lane, and I mean, you feel so bad for Shedfard at this point, you know. Fortunately, shitting the bed on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah. We were waiting for that one to come through from Adam. Don't worry, he enunciated the D's there. But yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, we're seeing every time we go to this bot lane, it's under tower, Kaisa Braum, half health, getting dove, Kaisa running all the way back to the inner turret, burning cleanse, coming through, and still has absolutely nothing they can do. They literally can't even sit under tower and be safe at this point. Rockboom and Erase about to crash a massive wave as well, and I wonder what we're going to get off of that massive wave. Flash from Ricky, top lane, going to be running away from Spiral Claws, but Spiral Claws moving back to that lane. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, this is exactly what we expected to see when we tabbed down here. Look at that damage off the Q! That is insane. Rockboom is just so ahead of everyone else in the game here. They're about to find first tower as well, but forget the first tower. Rockboom wants kills. Moving up, getting a little bit of a buff from the Nami there. Q's going to go through. Erase is the one to find that kill, but it doesn't matter because the bot lane getting that gold is amazing in the end. Imperial Mandate on Erase already. First Mythic in the game to come through.
Support.
Just from assists and, you know, the occasional kill.
On the support of all things. I mean, it's ridiculous to see how fed they are. I mean, on the top side of the map, actually, Spiral Claws goes down as well. I believe Alonso linked up with that one. But, you know, it's just across the map. Purdue are crumbling under the pressure. This Rift Herald are going to go down. Look at how many plates have been taken by the side of the Saints at 10.5 minutes. You have 3.5 more minutes to now just shove down this mid lane. It is actually not incentivized for this Lucian and Nami to go mid lane because they get 1 less gold per minion. It's just, this game is so far accelerated that I don't even think it matters mid lane. Great flash.
Yeah, great flash from Simple's Bakery Boy. Trying to get real tricky with that ultimate, mixed with his clone as well on the engage. Erase gonna hit that bubble, and that could spell the end for Simple's. But Bakery Boy, they don't have the damage to try and fight this out. Simple still dangerously low. Erase wants to get in there, wants to throw a couple autos. You know they do. But Simple's gonna take the safe way out, walk back into that jungle, find their way towards that wolf camp, and find the back. Unfortunately for Bakery Boy, you might be way ahead of Simples here in the lane, but when that bot lane comes up, you might be outmatched in the 2v3 with just your support there.
It's more so just a numbers game at that point, and I think a lot of the damage was already expended from Bakery Boy. Use that ultimate. You know, if that lands, Simples is dead way before that play even happens.
100%.
But now you just have to contest with the likes of this Lucian. Look at how fed they are. You know, it's Kraken Slayer. No, don't even need the Gale Force this game because that's how strong and far ahead you are that you don't need that extra mobility. You're going to kill them with the auto attacks that you can get while you're in range. You've got the Dirk, you've got the Lucidity boost. Now here comes the ultimate. My goodness, look at the culling damage through the Braum shield.
Yeah, that's what, 25% negation? Or
a lot. It's
more than that. I know the first
like,
hit is nothing, but yeah, in the end, I mean, Spiral Claws here under tower. The one saving grace for Spiral Claws is that he can consistently trade back with Ricky. Even though Ricky, you know, they dropped that rift top, they found the first tower, all in the help of Alonso there, but it's Alonso that's making this happen for Ricky. Ricky can't necessarily 1v1 Spiral Claws to death and win it every time. Bakery Boy as well, gonna drop a shutdown down bot lane before that R pops. Not gonna be able to find that stun. The damage compounding a little bit too fast from this Victor as he starts to evolve those abilities. But Rockboom and Erase have just been doing the exact same thing they did bot lane. Braum and Kaisa, once again, cannot keep up, and they are about to find all the plates on the map. St. Clair has no more plates left to grab, and we haven't even hit 13 minutes yet.
Yeah, you know, a minute and a half ahead of schedule, I want to say. They're taking everything on the map. They're really leaving no room for Purdue to play. You know, 9,000 gold lead, but here's the fight.
Yeah, Braum ultimate comes in, but the tidal wave sent right back at them. It's going to be Udyr Hydra Knight to fall first. Second is Ravenspan. Kaisa gonna make it out pretty safely, but wasn't really able to provide much support or even provide much damage for the team there, as they are just playing the catch-up game right now, just playing the runaway game, as all of these players here 2-3 levels ahead of Shidfard and just can't do much. I mean, you queue under tower, you try to clear the waves, but once you get into that fight, you're just getting deleted. You're still playing an ADC in the end.
I mean, look at the CS here. It's 10 CS per minute, more than 10 CS per minute coming through from Rockboom. You know, while Shidfard CS is nice for exactly right now, it's still not going to be nice in the grand scheme of things being down so much. You know, still double CS on Rockboom right now. This Lucian is so massive. It doesn't matter what Ravenspan Maximum wants to put up in terms of resistance. Just by being the Braum in the front line, this was supposed to be sort of your counterpick in the support position. It's not working out. Rockboom's just too big, although might have oversteps.
Yeah, Rockboom, though, has to flash out of there. No mana really to their name, as Alonso stuck in a bit of a 1v4 here. Does a big chunk of damage to a lot of those players, but in the end, you're playing Dr. Mundo. You don't have too much to finish that off, but surviving for a good chunk of time. Ricky Lafleur kind of just ratting in that bush, waiting for Spiral Claws on the rotation, but realizing, once again, still can't fight Spiral Claws. Essence Reaver on a GP, still scary.
Yeah, really scary to deal with, and especially if this does move into Navori Quick Blades plus more Crit Cloaks, it's going to be difficult to deal with. A teleport down to the bottom side of the map, but I think Bakery Boy is just going to be able to walk that one out. The one thing that Purdue have done is managed to take away these two early Dragons away from the side of the Saint, so Soul Win condition not going to be there. Granted, I don't think St. Clair are going to get to a point in this game, or they're not going to let Purdue get to a point where the Soul Dragon will even spawn. At this point, you know, it's 15 minutes into the game. It is 10,000 gold lead. That's the number that sort of sets the benchmark as insurmountable when it happens at like 30 minutes or 40 minutes into the game, not at 15 minutes into the game. It is unheard of to get this big of a gold lead and just keep it going from there. It's ridiculous how much gold at this point. It's almost hard to keep that gold lead up because of how easy it is for them to farm. They're so much closer to their base. Baker Boy flashing in though.
Yeah, R is going to pop onto Simples as well. Going to have to drop that ultimate back onto Bakery Boy, but Bakery Boy has the movement speed simply to run out of the Victor ultimate. Now they can just continually push out this bot lane, put some pressure on that turret. It's just Hydra Knight down there to try and provide resistance. Is going to have to be rotations to come through, but there's no one left on the map to rotate because the bot lane of Purdue has to sit mid. They have to wait for Rockboom and Erase to come through here because otherwise they'll pressure that turret into an inhib immediately.
I mean, especially with the Rift Herald, you know, they're maybe just going for Dancing Herald at this point. You know, we mentioned that this game was going to be a little bit more sided towards the Saints, but maybe not this much so. Nonetheless, oh my goodness, Hydra Knight's going to die.
Yeah, the damage coming through off of Rockboom. That was one quick little combo. That wasn't even like the full Lucian combo. It was just a quick auto Q to come through, and that was half of Hydra Knight's health. And I think that's where the pick of the Kraken Slayer comes in as well. Tidal Wave to hit Ravenspan. Ultimate from that Braum. Gonna hit Rockboom, but not gonna slow him down enough as they're just waiting for some minions to come through here. Rockboom dashes in with the culling. Gonna do a good damage to Kaisa. Hydra Knight getting absolutely melted at his own inhibitor. Spiral Claws can't do anything against this Lucian because the damage is too high. The Lucian is too fed. The healing from the Nami is just as good as well. Rockboom, no right to live in the end there, but Erase's healing being as far up as they are, as far ahead, 9 stacks on the Medjais to boot. I mean, Rockboom is not gonna fall now. Blue buff, red buff online as well. This is even more terrifying getting into this next team.
Yeah, and it's 17 minutes. They're cracking an inhibitor here. Normally, I wouldn't advise this because, you know, you're giving free super minion experience through that mid lane for the next 5 minutes. I don't think they care. The game's not going to last 5 more minutes at this rate. They are just sprinting through this game. They want to go home. They're, you know what? They got Netflix series to catch up. They got homework. They got to study. They got to do whatever at this point. They got a hot date. I don't know what's happening. It's absolute speedrun at this point. 17 and a half minutes into this one. Now cresting 14, 15,000 gold lead. My goodness.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Purdue, right, they're playing base defense. They're playing tower defense at this point. Bloons TD to come through in the base because,
let's be real.
Yeah, it's Saints that are playing Bloons TD.
Yeah, Rock Boom's the super monkey just firing, like, literally the Culling's like a super monkey throwing all those darts. I mean, if we hover over the gold right now, it's 3 completed items on Lucian. It is barely 1 complete. I have
4K to 11K.
Well,
4.4.
Nami! It has like 3,000 more gold than the Kaisa.
Yeah, it's just absolute domination from the Saints right now. All off the back of that bot lane, just starting off so strong. And this lead not looking to end anytime soon. Rockboom still yet to fall. 9-0-3 right now. Had a 700 gold shutdown pretty much since like 10 minutes at this point. And Rockboom still can't fall solo in the mid lane right now, but look at the respect the members of Purdue are giving, because all it takes is 1 step forward and they fall. 1 step too close to that Lucian auto attack range. Rockboom getting in there with that Cullen, but he is going to fall. It's the Kaisa to pick up that 1,000 gold kill. Ricky LaFleur shutting that right back down as Kaisa is going to fall as they got a little too antsy trying to find that kill, but it's Ricky LaFleur, Alonso, and Erase. Your main source of damage has fallen, but Ricky LaFleur, Ravenous Hydra, and an Essence Reaver still going to be outputting a good chunk of damage as well. Alonso kind of in a tough situation, getting chased down by 3, but Ricky ready to get into the fray. There's the first kill to come through. Hydra Knight running back into the base, kind of just playing back and forth throughout these base walls, but you can't jump away. You can't run away from a Ricky with a jump on from a Ricky on Jax. When the Jax is picked, the flash comes through, the stun comes through. Can the next kill come through?
My goodness!
And the bubble to clean it off.
What is a quadra?
Kill. Wow, wait, Ricky found that.
It must have been some residual damage coming down. Might have been red buff or something, but nonetheless, yeah, they're into the base. It is just past 20 minutes, and I mean, it will just pass 20 minutes here. Rockboom, I think, just got a little bit too antsy there. You know, they were feeling themselves a little bit too much. They're like, yeah, I'm going to dash in. I'm going to use my ultimate and get right into the base and everything. And then they die because there's 4 members there. Yes, Shidfard's able to get a little bit more gold for themselves, but unfortunately, too little too late at this point. You know, 3.5 items on the opposite side. We will see a Flame Horizon come through from the Lucian as soon as he finishes these. Yep, there's 100 CS gap. Okay, will it stay consistent? No, but it's just been such a fantastic game. And even though Udyr had his Protean bar to wake up in the morning there, courtesy of Jack Show, still not enough. 0-5-3 hasn't really been able to find any fights in their own favor. And Rockboom, any potential 1v4, I still favor Lucian here. Oh my.
Yeah, culling in Hydra Knight's face, and now Alonso to back him up. Alonso doing some zoning of their own. Rockboom had to straight up run away, but the second you pop that culling, Udyr does not have the mobility to really run away from you, especially when you're in such a tight corridor like that jungle bush near that red buff. Now, the first Baron of the game to come through. Saints realistically just going to melt it with all this Rockboom damage. Can't forget Ricky here on the bot side, shoving up a wave with 2 supers in it as well. Are they triple inhib right now? I can't tell if that top inhib has fallen. 3 inhibs down, just the Nexus turrets left. The Saints are just waiting for this Baron to come through so that their minions can't be cleared out so fast.
Yeah, and they're just going to march down into this base. It should be just a formality at this point. More so, you're going to need some sort of divine intervention to not lose this game for the side of Purdue. Look at the damage taken by Simples on the side. Oh my, this...
Bakery Boy finds the first one. Ricky chasing down Hydra Knight. There's the kill to come through. Rockboom getting ready to lay on the pain. A missed bubble from Erase. Still going to cause this side of Purdue to have to step back a little bit. Ricky going in. What damage coming through from Ricky onto that Kaisa ADC. Ricky still living it out as well. Second culling to come out in about 40 seconds here as Rockboom gonna fall in that last second, but Saints taking the victory in a very dominant fashion. 21 minute and 54 second game in the end.
Yeah, just speedrun at that, you know, just so fast. They were able to snowball that bot lane so hard. At the end of that game, I think Arrays had a 25 stack Magi, so, you know, that just sort of shows indication for how that game was going to turn out. And realistically, we were expecting the victory coming through from the Saints in a lot of ways, but maybe not in that fashion. It was...
Yeah.
Wow. Just a huge. There was all the plays were gone at 13 minutes. There's no way that you can get better than that unless your enemy is just trolling.
Yeah, I just don't think when you're that far behind at the starting, it's just Purdue. We talk about playing catch up a lot, right? When there's like a 3K gold lead, but 10K. You can't do enough farming to catch up to that. You physically can't, not while there's still jungle camps on the Saints side, not unless you're taking every single farm in the game. You're not going to be able to catch up with that, unfortunately. Saints starting it off a little bit too dominant for Purdue to handle there. We are going to have to move on to game 2 in a second here, but any final thoughts to close us out, Adam?
I mean, it was just extreme domination at all minutes of the game, starting from the early game where, you could see them just actively approaching there. And while Spiral Claws had a couple of options on the top side of the map with Jax, or the Jax from Ricky, getting a little bit too, yeehaw going and everything, getting the good in, but a little bit too hard at some points. You got to know when to back off. But nonetheless, Saints having a very dominant performance, and realistically, Purdue's going to need a huge turnaround if they're to come back into the series.
Yeah, and the problem is, I don't even think it wasn't draft that was the problem necessarily. The Kai'Sa was questionable, but at the same time, it showed the level 1 prowess, right? You burnt Erase's flash initially, and then it was just Lucian Nami domination from level 3 onward.
Basically, and very difficult to sort of get anything out of that game apart from just, mental reset, get back to the table. It's a 0-0 scoreline for the side of Purdue in their eyes. Whereas for the Saints, they're going to feel pretty happy about that one, Might just try and continue that domination, finish the next game quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can go quicker than 22 minutes, but Saints looking to make this a 2-0 off of a dominant victory. Purdue gonna have to battle back. You got 2 games theoretically left in the series, Purdue. Let's see what you got. We'll come back to you with Game 2 draft. It is secure that second trap off lane. Alonso now well above Hydronite in terms of CS here. Both junglers not going to have those double buffs anymore, and the first blood is going to go over to Ricky. Pops the flash and secures it.
With this item is in the game right now, I wonder what that might be. Is it potentially Ravenous Hydra that they're going for? Nonetheless, you can see Picard in a really difficult situation here. Not the line.
Burns cleanse there too for almost absolutely nothing, and he's just going to keep getting ran down and autoed down at 13 minutes.
Yeah, a minute and a half ahead of schedule, I want to say. They're taking everything on the map. They're really leaving no room for Purdue to play. 9,000 gold lead, but here's the fight. Braum
ultimate comes in, but the tidal wave sent right back at them. It's going to be Udyr Hydronite to fall first. Second is Ravenspan. Kai'Sa, Venomdronite's health, and I think that's where the pick of the Kraken Slayer comes in as well. Tidal wave to hit Ravenspan. Ultimate from that Braum. Going to hit Rock Boom, but not going to slow him down enough as they're just waiting for some minions to come through here. Rock Boom dashes in with the culling. Going to do a good damage to Kai'Sa. Hydronite getting absolutely melted at his own inhibitor. Spiral Claws can't do anything against this Lucian because the damage is too high. The Lucian is too fed. The minutes at this point, and Rock still can't fall solo in the mid lane right now. But look at the respect the members of Purdue are giving, because all it takes is one step forward and they fall. One step too close to that Lucian auto attack range. Raku getting in there with that Cullen, but he is gonna fall. It's the Kai'Sa to pick up that 1,000 gold kill. Ricky LaFleur shutting that right back down. Here's the first kill to come through. Hydronite running back into the base, kind of just playing back and forth throughout these base walls, but you can't jump away. You can't run away from a Ricky with a jump on from a Ricky on Jax. When the Jax is picked, the flash comes through, the stun comes through. Can the next kill come through?
Oh my goodness!
And the bubble to clean it off.
What is a quadra kill?
Wait, a missed bubble from Erase still going to cause this side of Purdue to have to step back a little bit. Ricky going in. What damage coming through from Ricky onto that Kai'Sa ADC. Ricky still living it out as well. Second culling to come out in about 40 seconds here as Rock Boom gonna fall. It is secured that second crab off lane. Welcome back to Draft, everybody. Here for Game 2. Starting off this one, Saints 1-0, looking to make it 2-0. Purdue looking to bounce back from a very, very rough game on their end. Now, we do see a bit of a side switch, so I assume that's going to change like the priority of bans, at least for each of these teams coming into this. But, gosh, I mean, already definitely changing the priority. A Nami ban to come through. You do not want to let that bot lane run away with the game like they did last time.
Yeah, and it was brutal on the bot side of the map. I mean, you know, Shidfar just didn't have any room to do anything there. You know, a little bit of just hot air on that bottom side of the map, so to speak. Nothing really. You know, enough about these jokes. It was not a great game from Shidfar, to say the least. And I think Rockboom and Erase really were able to take that Lucian Nami and just go to town against that Kaisa Braum. And I think that is the main reason for it. Veigar is the ban on the opposite side. A little bit interesting, all things considered. Veigar is like okay, but is more so probably a specific ban here because we do have a substitution. It's Fox subbing in that mid lane for Purdue, so maybe trying to just shake things up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, because I was about to say, I was like, I don't think we saw Veigar on that list of bans, and now coming into a first ban, very interesting to see, but Purdue coming right back with their Wukong ban. How surprising. We saw what Ravenous Hydra Jax did last game, and Wukong is a champ that, you know, synergizes with the item even better. So definitely a great ban to get out of there. St. Clair coming back in with the Karthus.
Yeah, the Karthus ban is really smart as well, just because you can sort of draft this comp that's just all AD, and then you just have your one AP source as that Karthus. It really makes, you know, tanks difficult to play into that, because you have to basically build an item for one person as opposed to building for the rest of the team. Really strong champion in that regard, and if St. Clair don't want to pick it, they're not going to bother with it. But the Mundo getting taken away as well. Alonso looked really good on it overall, you know. Granted, we talked in between the games. He said he wasn't necessarily the most entertained with it. It is Mundo. It's not the most crazy mechanical champion. You walk at people. You go where you please effectively. But nonetheless, still a great game out of Alonso there, just being a facilitator for the rest of the map. And final ban, Caitlyn. Makes sense. You don't want to be giving over that first pick. Even though Rockboom has shown time and time again they have answers into the Caitlyn, you can see that Purdue also potentially have that up their sleeve. You just want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, especially if you're not grabbing it first pick. Yeah, just get rid of it. Get it off the table. Don't worry about it. Rockboom's got much, much more in the pool they can pick from there. Purdue coming in with the Aatrox first pick, something that was banned out last game, but not banned out until the end there, I believe. So yeah, definitely, you know, it's a good first pick to come through from Purdue here.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think there are some answers that Ricky has specifically into it. You know, we've seen the Yone come through before.
Yeah.
We've seen the Olaf as an answer as well.
We
Two
have.
mixed degrees at that. Nonetheless, it's definitely something that, you know, especially if it's been so meta for so long, you're going to have some sort of answer into it. That's why it was sort of left up a lot of the time at Worlds, because teams had answers into it in that regard. But of course, the Karma getting it picked up on the opposite side, this makes a whole lot of sense. As we mentioned, it is sort of your lane kingdom on the bottom side of the map. It's not an AD carry. It's Karma. She's so strong right now. And just controlling lanes, pushing lanes, making sure that your AD carry is as safe as possible. Seems like Olaf is going to be the option for Ricky. So putting it all on the line here, we'll see if it actually pays out.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this pick recently. I believe it was last week there, and
we saw it on my stream. It didn't go so hot. Let's be real.
It didn't necessarily work out, and I mean, there were definitely moments where you were like, "Oh, I can see why the pick is coming through," but it's the execution of it. It's the fact that we never really see Ricky play Olaf. I don't even know if he plays it in solo queue.
He plays it a lot, and that's
okay.
That's the main reason why it comes through, right?
That's exactly
it's a solo queue pick that he sort of picked up and put into these competitive games, and you know, it's one of those champions where you need to win, but in a lot of ways you can win on your own now. This champion scales a lot better into the later stages of the game. You still have a very strong laning phase. It's more so that you want to try and punish Aatrox when you're up close and personal. When you're getting the slam down, you know, the Q3 is coming down, you can just, you know, Ragnarok right through it and push through. But nonetheless, Seraphine going to get picked up here really early on for Purdue. This is an interesting pickup considering it technically has flex into multiple roles, but the Kindred comes through afterwards, and something tells me that they've got something spicy up their sleeves here with this Seraphine pick, because you can still flex to all three of the roles that remain, but you know, usually now you see it as an AD carry almost, you know, AP carry, and with that Kindred getting picked up on the opposite side, you technically have your AD carry already covered. So I'm curious to see what these last two picks are going to be from Purdue. They definitely need a switch up though, all things considered.
Varus coming through as the pick for Rock Boom there. Varus Karma, a very, very threatening bot lane. And, I mean, coming back to that Seraphine as well, I don't think Seraphine is going to have too much fun in that bot lane, especially against that Varus Karma. I feel like that's a bot lane that can definitely match the poke that will come out of a Seraphine bot lane. And, yeah, it's like you said, like, Seraphine kind of is forced into not support that APC, if we want to call it that, because she needs gold to get online. Yeah,
especially now with some of the newer builds that are coming through. You know, it's not just Moonstone into whatever, Shirelles into whatever. You know, you have different options. Even, you know, Enchantresses aren't moving away from Moonstone. They're going towards Radiant Dawn as an option. So there's a bunch of different options in terms of itemization where this champion goes, but nonetheless, with the bans coming down, 4 mid lane bans. So at the very least, it seems like both teams are on the same page saying, yeah, the Seraphine's not going mid lane.
Yeah, Seraphine definitely not going mid lane here, as we see Purdue, those Bakery Boy target bans come back once again. The Silas and the LeBlanc to come out there. Victor Vex, the double V back, or a W if you're French, but coming back to that one. And Syndra is picked up from Bakery Boy. That was the third ban from Purdue actually last time into Bakery Boy there. So Syndra coming in this time. I guess that's Bakery Boy's like third pick, because truthfully, we rarely see the LeBlanc and the Silas banned out, so usually he just defaults to one of the two.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still the Akali potentially on the table. There's still a lot of other champions that Bakery Boy has in the arsenal, but when you're blind picking something, Syndra definitely safe. You've got a lot of agency in that regard. Curious to see how they respond to that, because Syndra does have a couple of lane counters that you can go for, especially now that her laning phase is a lot weaker, but her late game is a lot stronger. It's really reliant on what the what Fox has in the inventory, actually, in terms of those mid laners as well. Waiting to see what they end up locking in here. Oh, it's going to actually be the Anivia locked in. This is interesting, because Anivia is just one of those champions that once you're level 6, you just push the wave and you forget about the game. You just press R, that's it.
Yeah, and then you can kind of just transfer your skills to other parts of the map. Anivia makes jungle fights a living hell, and that was something that the Saints were very, very comfortable to do last game. And Graves to come in as the final pick for the Saints. Can't forget about that Swain that's coming through. So most likely Swain support. I think we've already kind of established that coming in, because you kind of have to force Seraphine to grab that CS, but Graves is a big, big pick from the Saints here. The last time we saw Alonso on Graves, I think he had a perfect game. I may be wrong. He might have had 1 or 2 deaths, but for a big chunk of the game, Alonso was you know, the one with that 700 gold bounty, similar to Rock Boom in that last game there. And already starting off, we're seeing the poke that comes from the Varus Karma there. Can already see Shidfard on that Seraphine. Gonna be forced to back pretty early, but shouldn't miss any minions.
Yeah, should be fine and good to go there. I mean, the teleport won't be forced out. You know, moving up with that minion, you can see where it keeps up. But look at where the bot lane is standing right now. There's in that front bush, making sure that as soon as someone gets into lane, they can get some poke down, they can get some damage down, and start the battle from there. But nonetheless, I'm curious to see how this mid lane plays out as well. You know, Fox subbing in, you got a game to sort of examine what's going on, sort of take an eye as to what is on the docket here, and curious to see if maybe those strategies are going to come through. But already you can see a little bit of a difference coming through in this bot lane with the Swain and the Seraphine already poking out a race. Granted, that's exactly what happened game one, forced out the flash from a race early.
Yeah, the poke onto Erase, and it's because Erase likes to walk up very far, likes to get that control of the lane for Rock Boom, and I think that's why a lot of the times we see Rock Boom, you know, 10, 20, 30 CS up as the time goes on. It's simply because these other bot lanes can't walk up for the farm. You're walking into a race on a Karma, in a Mumu, any of those champs that a race likes to pick, right? Yeah. Lots of damage coming down onto the Seraphine, and now Seraphine, you know, essentially pretty far down in this lane now. You see only 5 CS to come through. Granted, only 7 on to Rock Boom so far, but Rock Boom sitting pretty at full health.
Yeah, and going to be taking over to level 2 incredibly quickly as well. Has that arrow now to potentially poke through, but pull back. Went down onto a race. Shadefard, though, in trouble.
Yeah, gonna have to get out of there. Finally, the back is going to be forced to come through from the Seraphine here, as not going to be canceled up just yet. A race going to get hit by that root as well. Pulled. Grab a little bit of health for that Swain. Get the late game scaling started already in this top lane. Granted, I don't expect much to happen in this top lane until level 6 unless we see some jungler intervention.
Yeah, but as you can see... Oh,
wow!
What?
The electrocute on that Swain to come through. Perfect pull. Great W to pop down there as well. And the damage piles on. No flash used. No exhaust used either from Erase. The exhaust might have possibly gotten a save there, but Rock Boom getting ignited on very quickly. Cleanse on the ignite. Gonna be have to flash out. Getting chased down as well. And that is 2 kills on to this Swain support, but there's that jungler intervention I was talking about. Alonso going to be coming up, grab the first kill for himself. 2-1 now. Purdue University in the lead in terms of kills.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting situation on that bot side of the map. I mean, Rock Boom first and foremost going for the poke build as opposed to the lethality build. We get back to that Erase. Oh my goodness.
Under tower, are they going to fall? The auto comes through in the end. Shidfard is now on the board with a kill. You also see 150 gold shutdown now on to that Swain, and this bot lane is off to the races, the complete opposite of what we saw last game.
Now already, you know, a 1,300, 1,400 gold lead for the side of Purdue here. Now Alonso forced it back off of this crab, I believe.
Rock Boom just got it.
Oh, he did. Oh, yeah, that actually steals away the mark as well. Look at this, though. Fighting against 3. This is going to be challenging.
Alonso coming down for the support. Rock Boom is going to fall initially. Alonso can't follow up on that Seraphine. Shidfard dangerously low here, but Alonso does not have the range, does not have the mobility to follow up on that, but you burn a flash, you grab the scuttle, you deny the mark, like you said, but at the same time, you're dropping a kill for that, and it's Rock Boom getting even less time in lane. Rock Boom going to be very behind now.
Yeah, and this is a complete change of pace, all things considered. I mean, we saw what Rock Boom and Erase can do when they are ahead. This time around, they are behind, and almost detrimentally so at this point. You see the Swain coming through with that Catalyst of Aeons already, alongside the Amplifying Tome. This is going to be Rod of Ages coming through on the Swain. Another champion that actually benefits quite well off of health, mana, and AP in that sense. And honestly, I am concerned for this bot lane, because if they fall too far behind, if that Rod of Ages comes online, you know, 8-9 minutes into the game or something, which I think is doubtful, probably going to be more around 10-11 minutes, it's still going to be a lot to contend with on that bottom side of the map in terms of damage, because on one side, you have exactly one longsword that is your combat power. On the opposite side, you've got Amplifying Tome starting to stack up. You've got that Catalyst, which keeps you alive for so long. And you just really have to start to stabilize this bot lane because the map state not in the best of spots for St. Clair.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be St. Clair playing the catch-up game this time, at least off the start here. There definitely is a possibility to, like, you know, start a snowball in another lane, right? You've already found that kill top. Could possibly just keep looking top, but at the same time, you're right. You do have to keep this bot lane in check, and you're going to have to shut down this Swain eventually. Eventually, the Swain is going to get to a point where you're like, all right, guys, we have to focus them down because the damage coming out, you see that even with a full Karma Shield Rock Boom, still going to be getting chunked out from all this poke. Rock Boom now going to have to play just very, very safe in lane. Not going to be able to walk forward too much because one root from that Swain and you are dead. Alonso, however, getting in super close, but Swain doing just as much damage back. The exhaust finally going to come out from Erase, and there's the shutdown onto Alonso as well. Great to start because I feel like at the starting of the game, I'd take the gold on the Graves over the Varus, especially now that Rock Boom, while he is up CS, already down 2 minutes.
I think the main thing as well is whether the gold goes on the Varus or the Graves there, it's gold going back the opposite way, sort of evening out this game. Fox trying to play Disruptor here, but Bakery Boy has more than enough mana to make this happen. It's just going to be the Dragon take, bar a steal coming over from Hydra Knight.
Smite is going to be good from Alonso. It's going to be the rest of Purdue just to back off there. Kind of forced to back off. They can't necessarily fight that one out. Hydra Knight going back to farming. Olaf doing Olaf things. Cannot be disabled in that ultimate. And that's where the Olaf comes in as the Aatrox counter.
Yeah, that's where you're able to just run right at them. And look at the summoner spells Ricky took. The solo queue classic of 2 combat summoners. Team, who cares about them? I'm not teleported to any fights. I'm winning this 1v1 100% of the time, and that's exactly what happens. On this bottom side, though, oh boy, this is not good for Rock Boom in a race.
Yeah, Rock Boom, though, if he can find himself in a 1v1 with this Seraphine, could possibly find a kill for themselves. Hydra Knight going to be able to burst down a race under tower there. Rock Boom still chasing this out. It's just going to take 1 Q to hit. Q going to whiff. The rain of arrows not going to be able to hit as well. And unfortunately, unfortunately for Rock Boom, is able to make it out alive. But I mean, Purdue is just off to the races at this point. Every single fight, even now that St. Clair is trading kills back, every single fight, Purdue finds themselves just a smidge more value.
Yeah, a little bit of a shitty situation there for Rock Boom getting out of that one. Okay, last thought I promise of the night. Nonetheless, the Seraphine is barely able to survive, and it just shows... Oh my goodness, wait a sec. But I'll get back to the point I'm about to see here. It just shows how far behind Rock Boom is in this game, especially considering the build that is now coming through. We talked about how Ravenous Hydra is a good item. Rock Boom's building it.
Oh, there is a Tiamat on the board, looking to also go into that Manamune after, I guess. A race is going to be coming up to the top lane here. Root is going to land. It is going to be good. That's a big slow on to Spiral Claws here, but Ricky, not necessarily enough health really to follow up on that. You don't want to force the dive here, not when you're about to find yourself in a 2v3. Ricky LaFleur hiding in this top bush here, now kind of getting zoned out by that Anivia ult. The race taking a lot of damage from this Anivia, but the CC immune Ricky LaFleur finds a double kill off of that. Gonna pick up the red buff off the Kindred as well, and Fox has nowhere to run. You're playing a very immobile champ. Forced to burn that flash. Ricky LaFleur just tossing cleavers in your face, tossing the axes down, and they're going to be able to push this one out just a little bit as well. Ricky in a tough situation here. Going to have to dodge in and out, in and out. He makes it out of the field of ice, but gonna be chunked out by that shard in the end, and Ricky LaFleur falls after a stellar fight there in the 2v3.
Yeah, just got a little bit too greedy trying to push that wave all the way in. Granted, we talk about the very strong item right now. There's one very strong item already complete there with Ricky picking that one up, and now Rock Boom. Oh boy, this is not good.
Yeah, pretty much dead at that point. Big amounts of chain CC to come through. Rock Boom takes the kill back. Thank you, minions. Now, big fight up against the Rift Herald here. Fox, dangerously low, but picked up that red buff from the kill on to Ricky. Rift Herald, will it reset? It looks like Alonso took aggro there. And it's going to have to be Purdue to move out of that top river there. They can't necessarily force the fight. Alonso still very fed at this point and hasn't backed since they've found a few of those kills, or at least a big chunk of CS. Should be able to grab something on a back here, and as it comes through, you see the Gale Force buy to be forced out first, or second mythic of the game to come through, barring that Rod of Ages from the supremely fed Swain in the bot lane.
Yeah, and of note, that is a Rod of Ages that was completed at 8 minutes and 56 seconds. We'll see 18 minutes and 56 seconds. Not only will that Rod of Ages be fully stacked on the Swain, but the Swain going to get an additional level. That's the new bonus that the Rod of Ages is going to give you. So interesting to see how that'll end up playing out. Will this Swain start to become a little bit more of a carry? That's sort of the idea behind this Swain Seraphine bot lane. Both of them can carry the game. Both of them can deal absolute insane amounts of damage. Swain doesn't need a whole lot of gold to do so, but yeah, if he gets it, he makes use of it quite well, as we can see with that Mythic complete. Granted, we look at the opposite side of things. St. Clair, they have this Olaf in the top lane, which is starting to become an issue. This Aatrox has no answer to it right now. Spiral Claws, after having a very good performance in game number 1, not really able to replicate it game 2, though. Mid lane, Alonso moving forward onto Fox.
Couple autos to come through. Fox, though, the slow from that ice field is just too good. Alonso just can't follow up. There's no way they can. Ricky going for a dive under tower here. Alt is popped, but the tower damage is too much for Ricky. Spiral Claws lives that one out. Thanks to the Ninja Tabbies mostly there, he is going to be able to live that one under tower. Ricky, once again, just like last game, getting a little bit too aggressive there, you know, misreading that tower damage and, you know, overall just getting a little kill hungry, to say the least.
And it's just the greed coming through. You miss a couple of axes and you say, oh, we've got to force this play. Nonetheless, just poking on both sides. And Rockboom starting to dish out some damage here on this dragon.
Yeah, Dragon is at 1,000. Rockboom flashes through, is able to find the kill onto the Seraphine. However, that Dragon went back Hydra Knight's way. Hydra Knight cleans up Rockboom. But at this point, your Rockboom's so behind, he takes those kills any day of the week. There's the stun to come through onto Fox. Fox should fall off of Alonso, but it's actually a race to find that kill in the end. I believe that was with the pop from that empowered Q. As the ground exploded there, he was able to find that kill.
Overall, just a really interesting fight around that Dragon. Rockboom going in 1v2, flashing forward at the end to try and find that kill for themselves, and a really late ultimate coming through from Hydra Knight there. And then in the mid lane, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Both of them are going to end up being your dinner if you are Alonso at the end of that one. Able to collect another kill for themselves, and it's really just about finding tempo around this map here. You know, they were able to get that mid lane tier 1. Really big for opening up the map and opening up their options, as well as opening up a little bit of a gold lead for themselves. Now, granted, we have to see how the next couple of minutes go. This isn't going to be speed run game 2 or anything. This is definitely going to be a closer affair just because of a stronger early game coming through from the bot lane, specifically from Purdue, but there's still a lot of League of Legends to be played here. St. Clair finally able to get a grasp on this game a little bit after what we can say was a little bit of a rough early game. A lot of a rough early. It was a bad early game. We'll just put it.
Yeah,
let's cut the crap. It was a bad early game.
Yeah, Rockboom and Erase absolutely lost that lane in the first 6 or 7 minutes there. Rockboom still getting killed a lot of these times, but now able to dish out a little bit of damage back, and especially on the long-range Qs there. It is going to help out because Rockboom doesn't necessarily have to get into the line of fire to be able to provide damage, provide support to that team. Hydra Knight falls. Alonso falls in the end. Swain ultimate has been popped. Ricky LaFleur does not have the tankiness to be able to survive that. Bakery Boy and Erase now gonna have to just retreat away back here. Bakery Boy grabs a few of those honey fruits. Just gonna have to move back behind this mid-tier 2 here.
And while Fox is playing one bird, Raven's fan Maximum, the name might make a little bit more sense here. Feeling it all at home on this Swain right now. 5, 1, and 3. Encore coming through. He's going to flash away from it, but yes, the Swain is absolutely massive. The Grand General of Nox is marching his way to a great scoreline here, and being now the main carry, if we look over at the gold here, we'll pull it up on screen a little bit, we'll be able to see that this Swain, probably one of the, is the richest member in the game, and this is so absurd, seeing a support with this much gold, but it's all based on not only Spell Thieves giving you basically 1,000 gold for free just by hitting your abilities, but also because he has 5 kills in the back pocket, the General is fed and looking to serve up. Kentucky Fried Chicken, maybe, you know? General Sanders, General Swain.
Looking to serve up some sauce chicken there as Raven fan maximum. Yeah, 5-3 in this game. Alonso, want to see who actually ended up getting that. It was Hydra Knight who got that Scuttle Crab as well, but a great ultimate from Alonso is going to shut that one down. Rock Boom found that tower in the bot lane, just taking it to the side lane in the end, and going to grab some gold back for themselves there. Alonso now in a bit of a 1v1 with Spiral Claws here in the jungle. That blue buff resets. These camps reset so early now. Blue turret destroyed on that top side as well. Rock Boom getting into a little bit of a 1v1 here with Fox. The poke war is coming through, but Rock Boom forced to burn that cleanse. Gonna take a lot of damage. Takes a tower shot as well. Definitely gonna have to get out of there after that one. Bakery Boy, Crown of the Shattered Queen now completed. Gonna start pressuring up this mid lane. They push up that wave. Not gonna be able to get too much damage on that tower, as kind of returning to neutral here. Stun is landed onto Shidvard. Not enough damage to follow up, but a good little poke nonetheless.
Now, I want to point something out here. You know, we look at Bakery Boy as just a player throughout this season, and we've seen that, you know, they've had their pop-up games and everything, but this is a performance that I want to highlight here. Extremely quiet performance, you know, not kill participating at all, but still has a 40 CS lead over their lane opponent. They're slowly but surely climbing into this game. You see an item and a half complete there, while I believe the Anivia is sitting on a boatload of gold right now. Bakery Boy's just been able to collect a whole bunch of gold for themselves. They're going to be hitting like a truck in the later stages of this game, and it's just out of nowhere. You look at the scoreboard and you say, it's 0-0-1 on Syndra, and then she's going to one-shot your Seraphine. She's going to one-shot your Kindred or something like that. You're not going to be ready for the damage, and this is just shows how consistent Bakery Boy has been throughout this season. Starting to become a bakery man, if we say it that way, because, you know, starting to really grow into their own on this team.
Yeah, 100%, and it's come off of starting from that LeBlanc play. 100%. We say the same thing every game. Bakery Boy goes even in lane, might even drop a solo kill or something, might even lose a fight, but in the end, Bakery Boy comes in, usually around that 20-minute mark, which we are about to hit, and just starts dealing damage because they're always able to keep their farm up, and they're always able to just have enough gold to be present in the game, regardless of the time there.
Realistically, this game, the biggest issue is going to be that Swain. You need someone to be able to burst them down. And, you know, with this Syndra ultimate having that built-in collector in the back pocket, you might have that agency to just sort of snap your fingers, break through that last little bit of health, and prevent them from, you know, healing up past that. But 4 members on this Rift Herald on the top side of the map. Quick rotations coming through. Bakery Boy, first one on the scene, and curious to see how this fight works out. Rift Herald's down to half, but there's enough members here to potentially contest. Ravens fan going demonic, though.
Yeah, Rock Boom gets in there early, and that's the chunky we're talking about from Bakery Boy's ultimate. Swain has fallen, a shutdown has been collected, but in the end, that Rift Herald did go over to Hydra Knight there. Spiral Claws getting dangerously low off of a Bakery Boy Shadow Ball there, but it's not enough. Spiral Claws gonna have to run all the way back into base. Rock Boom in a dangerous situation right now, getting a little bit too far up there. Rock Boom is just, at this point, I think Rock Boom's so far behind, he thinks he's not worth gold, but he has found some kills recently, so I mean, definitely a little bit of a risky play. Too much of a risky play from Rock Boom here, the player who has finally come back into this game and immediately taken back out.
Yeah, a little bit greedy there. I think it's sort of the NLXG copy pasta. You know, when Rock Boom is even, he feels like he's ahead, so he takes a fight. When Rock Boom is ahead, he feels like he is so far ahead he can win any single fight, so he takes the fight. When Rock Boom's behind, he thinks that he is even, so he takes a fight there. When Rock Boom is devastatingly behind, he feels like he's behind it. He needs to make a fight happen, so he takes the fight. You know, it's just always looking for these fights no matter what. Does it end up sort of giving the team a little bit of a back-off attitude? Yes, you can't really fight without that 80 carry there, but nonetheless, sort of back to that early Rift Herald play. It's exactly what we're talking about. For the first time ever, we didn't cast the curse Bakery Boy. He ends up showing us exactly what we're talking about. You just show up with that burst, and you're able to pick up a nice shutdown for yourself.
Yeah, picks up the shutdown. Now even has a shutdown on his name as well, being with that perfect KD. Granted, it's 101, but I mean, 178 CS to boot, highest CS in the game there, and you can see why we like to talk about this guy once we get to those later stages of the game, especially after that Rift Herald height. A root hit onto Ravens fan from that Rock Boom ultimate, but can't really follow up on that one. The team not really there, and I mean, Rock Boom in a race at this point can't take a 2v2 with that Swain. Swain gonna make it out of there scot-free.
And Swain already reaching that Rod of Ages spike. And interesting to note, the Swain has a lot of farm that they've picked up. I'm pretty sure they're at minion penalty unless they've been picking up a lot of the jungle camps or just clearing out wards. Really interesting to see them have that much farm. I'm a little bit perplexed about it nonetheless, just considering how little farm Jennifer has on the opposite side, but nonetheless, Seraphine's one of those champions where you like to have the gold, but it's not really necessary. It's what we talked about with it sort of being a 2-carry comp on the bottom side. Granted, oh boy.
Hydra Knight forced to burn that ultimate there. Now, in the bot lane, it's Ricky to start running down Fox here. Flash going to come out from Fox. Ricky burnt both summoner spells for that, whereas Fox only had to burn the flash to make it away. Ricky, no ultimate available as well, but in this offside jungle, look at the damage coming through onto Hydra Knight. Hydra Knight can't really step up too far. They are going to get bursted down. Rock Boom in a 1v1 with the Seraphine now. Going to get hit by that charm. Insta-cleanse to come out there, and now the blue buff has been found. Alonso now has the double buffs up, and this entire Saints team, almost this entire Saints team, towards this top side. 3 players there. Ricky LaFleur getting chunked down under tower here. Still hasn't taken a tower shot, but does not have the health to live that out. That's what happens when you have the plated steel caps and you're going up against an Anivia. Already here, the Ravens fan popping that ultimate in the 1v4, but Bakery Boy coming back in with that burst damage, taking down that Swain once again. What a dash in there from Spiral Claws. I couldn't even tell what happened. Rock Boom gonna find that kill in the end, give him a little bit more gold in the pocket. We see that Manamune should be coming through soon. Bakery Boy, though, dangerous here. Kindred just needs one more auto. Hydra Knight, will they fall? Yes, they will, but not after they grab Erase's head.
And now starting to try and back out of this one. Bakery Boy should be able to kite this one out. Fox is still looking around the corner here. If they can find a wall, does not seem like they're going to find that crystallize in time. Nonetheless, just fighting all over the place here. A real messy fight. The biggest downfall is just Ricky doesn't have flash. You're not able to flash over the Anivia wall every single time. It seems like they get caught up by that crystallize and they're just taken down. But even still on that top side fight, Bakery Boy staying alive for so long, protecting that shutdown, scattering the weak. I think there was, 5 orbs going in 18 different directions there at the end of it. Ricky, though, in trouble once again.
Under his own tower this time, still taking that much damage from this same 2-player combo here. The amount of CC that comes through from Seraphine Anivia is too much to deal with. And then the damage over time from that Anivia ult. Ricky can't really do much about it. He can't run out of the ult, because you run out of the ult, you're getting hit by more slow, and while you're slowed, it's so easy for the Seraphine to hit every ability. Chemtech Drake now going to go over to Purdue University. 2 for 2 on Dragons here, and I just realized that we are actually on this Chemtech map here, so it could be the first collegiate game that we see a Chemtech Soul come through.
Yeah, new map and new fruits. The main thing is there's a lot of fruits and they do crazy things. I mean, you get your stimmies on your fruits now instead of, getting slowed up by the honey fruit. The blast cone is an extra blast cone. It's basically raised blast pack, and then you get your what is it? The vision point, which is just the Sova drone, able to reveal the entire area. So they just added Valorant back into League of Legends after they, added League of Legends into Valorant. Neon, yeah.
Yeah, Zeri, Neon, which one? But yeah, coming into this one, still, St. Clair keeping this gold lead up. Overall, right, they've got the gold lead. This Swain, being that the Swain, the stun not going to come through. A race, and get chunked out by Fox there, but CC Immune Olaf running down this Anivia. Egg Nivea going to fall. Rock Boom to pick up the kill. 5-man top here, and this tower should be all but grabbed. Rock Boom putting in a lot of damage all the way from out of the tower's range, chunking that Seraphine for about a quarter of their health. So they're now going to back out. Are they going to force this Baron here?
Might be. I think at this point you've got the agency to do so, and Anivia not going to be out for another 25 seconds, and I think there, Erase almost baited out by how far that blast cone blasts you. Nonetheless, Hydra Knight's around the back of the pit here. They don't know where the Kindred is. This could be dangerous.
Swain taken out of the fight immediately by Bakery Boy, doing their job to AT. Hydra Knight tad a bit late there on the dash in, not going to be able to grab that smite, forced to burn the Lamb's Bite there, and they are gonna fall in the end. Now 2 kills back over to St. Clair and a Baron to boot. They are feeling good, and after a very rough start to this game, now they are confidently ahead.
They've equalized out the game. They've sort of gotten back in their mojo. You know it's not going to be a speed run. No, you're not beating your record from game number 1 there, but at the very least, you've reestablished yourself. You know, you have a little bit too much fun for the first 10 minutes of the game there. You give over a couple too many kills there. I mean, specifically, Rockboom was just way too far in all of these fights, but now you're starting to equalize it out. You've got a lot more damage. You've got this poke Varus online, and now starting to play around this bottom side of the map here. You're trying to find ways to push in these waves and really punish the likes of Fox, because I think that's the main wave, so you just gotta shut him down at all times, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, Fox forced to burn that wall, but Ricky, it's very easy for Ricky with all of this movement speed now to just run around the wall and keep running after this very, very immobile Anivia there. Alonso and Erase going to be moving around the backside of this tower, clearing out some of that vision. Raven, Seraphine, and Hydra Knight here under tower. Are they just going to force it out, though? Rockboom in the mid lane here. Big chunk onto Hydra Knight. Hydra Knight, no ultimate available. You burnt that in the Baron pit. Bye-bye. That's what happens when they've got a Ravenous Hydra and a Duskblade as well.
Rockboom.
Raven getting very close into Rockboom here, but now the Varus damage is too much late into this game, and Saints are going to have all the time in the world to run down these inhibitors, maybe even grab a Nexus tower, maybe even grab the game, as it looks like nobody can be shut down from the Saints. Now that we're 26 minutes into the game, Ricky going in on that Olaf, finds the kill onto Fox. CC immune on that Aatrox W, and there's the ace to come through. The Nexus is going to fall in just a few seconds, and St. Clair College have secured the 2-0 and secured the Grand Finals spot in NECC.
Honestly, it looked a little bit shaky at the beginning of game 2 there, but nonetheless, they're able to bounce back. This is a team that is so experienced with, you know, just the cohesion of the team that, you know, you have a little bit too much fun in the early game. You say, okay, let's settle down, boys. Let's get back in the driver's seat. That's exactly what happens there. They're able to recover with a nice win there. Some interesting picks to come through, some interesting builds nonetheless. You know, Rockboom, maybe first item Ravenous Hydra on Varus isn't maybe the way to go. Smile. I don't know anything, you know.
To be fair, it took the Duskblade for Rockboom to start really doing that Varus damage you'd expect. I don't know about the Ravenous Hydra. I mean,
it was fun.
It's interesting, and truthfully, you could probably build it on any champ and be fine at this during this state in the game. But I mean, it's a semifinals game, Rockboom. You usually want to stick to those traditional Varus builds to come through, but in the end, works out. I mean, the combo with that and Duskblade, it definitely gave out the damage. It's just very lacking in that early game.
Yeah, it was a rough early game, and I think it was also more so just because of how fed the Swain got and that. And 100%. I think Purdue definitely gave it their all in that game number 2. They came in with a fresh mind. They were able to really reverse the fates of last game where they just, you know, got dumpstered in lane and weren't able to recover from there. But I think overall, it was a good look from them. But once again, you know, sort of the expected result. St. Clair able to come out on top after a really good performance out of Bakery Boy, especially in game number 2. We highlighted him midway through that game, and, you know, 0-0-1 ends the game 4-0-6. Really able to come into their own, and now, you know, you're going on to Grand Finals here for NECC. You have NECC Star League Grand Finals as well on Saturday, so this team is in the mood for finals. Going to be a week full of winning titles for them. At least that's what they hope, and you know what? Very interested to see how that plays out, of course, on the NECC Star League stream. They're going to Philly tomorrow, so I mean, they're just trying to wrap this one up, pack their bags, and get on the bus or the plane or whatever they're doing to get over to Philly.
Yeah, it's definitely been a couple weeks of success for this league team. I mean, you know, there were the blunders. There was the semifinals fall in Canadian Nationals there, but in terms of NECC and NECC, this team is non-stop domination. They've had their close games, but I mean, you come into NECC semifinals and you deliver us a 2-0 that looks like that. I think they're more than confident moving into grand finals, regardless of who comes out of that Fisher-York matchup.
Yeah, and realistically, both of those series were very close, and both of those teams are very close in skill as well. It really just comes down to who will be the better team on that day, but we'll have to find that out next week. Most likely not going to be on our stream, most likely going to be on the NECC stream as they want to take that, but nonetheless, definitely going to be interesting to see that St. Clair Saints move on to that one. Honestly, just a really strong performance from them today to be able to push themselves through to those grand finals.
Yeah, Saints wrap up that 2-0, starting to wrap up these leagues as well as they move into grand finals, but we are going to wrap up here for tonight as well. I'm Josh Fundy Pafundi, joined once again by Adam Choles here. Shout out to the production team, Ryan on directing, Riley, new face in the back here, helping us out with observing today. It's been an awesome stream. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this series here tonight. But that is going to be all for us. Hope you have a good night. See you next time. From all this poke, Rockboom now going to have to play just very, very safe in lane. Not going to be able to walk forward too much because one root from that Swain and you are dead. Alonso, however, getting in super close, but Swain doing just as much damage back. The exhaust finally going to come out from Erase, and there's the shutdown onto Alonso as well.
A steal coming over from Hydra Knight.
Might is going to be good from Alonso. It's going to be the rest of Purdue just to back off there. Kind of forced to back off. They can't necessarily fight that one out. Hydra Knight going back to farming. Olaf doing Olaf things. Cannot be disabled in that ultimate. And that's where the Olaf comes in as the Aatrox counter.
Rockboom Erase.
Yeah, Rockboom though, if he can find himself in a 1v1 with this Seraphine, could possibly find a kill for themselves. Hydra Knight going to be able to burst down a race under tower there. Rockboom still chasing this out. It's just going to take one Q to hit. Q going to whiff. The rain of arrows not going to be able to hit as well on the Spiral Claws here. But Ricky, not necessarily enough health really to follow up on that. You don't want to force the dive here. Not when you're about to find yourself in a 2v3. Ricky LaFleur hiding in this top push here. Now kind of getting zoned out by that Anivia ult. The race taking a lot of damage from this Anivia. But the CC immune Ricky LaFleur finds a double kill off of that. Gonna pick up the red buff off the Kindred as well. And Fox has nowhere to box, though the slow from that ice field is just too good. Alonso just can't follow up. There's no way they can. Ricky going for a dive under tower here. Ult is off, but the tower damage is too much for Ricky. Spiral Claws lives that one out.
We've gotta force this play. Nonetheless, just poking on both sides. Rockboom starting to get some damage here on the Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon is at 1,000. Rockboom flashes through, is able to find the kill onto the Seraphine. However, that Dragon went back Hydra Knight's way. Hydra Knight cleans up Rockboom. Able to dish out a little bit of damage back, and especially on the long range views there. It is going to help out because Rockboom doesn't necessarily have to get into the line of fire to be able to provide damage, provide support to that team. Hydra Knight falls. Alonso falls in the end. Swain ultimate has been off. Ricky LaFleur does not have the tankiness to be able to survive that. Bakery Boy and Erase.
Snap your fingers, break through that last little bit of health and prevent them from, healing up past that. Four members on this Rip Trail from the top side of the map. Quick rotations coming through. Bakery Boy first one on the scene, and curious to see how this fight works out. Rip Trail's down to half, but there's enough members here to potentially contest. Ravensven going demonic though.
Yeah, Rockboom gets in there early, and that's the chunk you were talking about from Bakery Boy's ultimate. Swain has fallen, a shutdown has been collected, but in the end, that Rip Herald did go to the double buffs up, and this entire Saints team, almost this entire Saints team, towards this top side. 3 players there. Ricky LaFleur getting chunked down under tower here. Still hasn't taken a tower shot, but does not have the health to live that out. That
Erase almost made it out by how far that blast blasted you. Nonetheless, Hydra Knight's around the back of the pit here. They don't know where the Kindred is. This could be dangerous.
Yeah, Swain taken out of the fight immediately by Bakery Boy, doing their job under AT. Hydra Knight had a bit late there on the dash in, not going to be able to grab that smite, forced to burn the Lambert fight there, and they are gonna fall in the end. Now they're just gonna force it out though. Rockboom in the mid lane here. Big chunk onto Hydra Knight. Hydra Knight, no ultimate available. You burnt that in the Baron pit. Bye-bye. That's what happens when they've got a Ravenous Hydra and a Duskblade as well. Raven getting very close into Rockboom here, but now the Ferris damage is too much late into this game, and Saints are going to use inhibitors, maybe even grab a Nexus tower, maybe even grab the game, as it looks like nobody can be shut down from the Saints. Now that we're 26 minutes into the game, Ricky going in on that Olaf, finds the kill onto Fox. CC immune on that Aatrox W, and there's the ace to come through. The Nexus is going to fall in just a few seconds, and Saint from all this hope